I grew up in rural Alberta. I grew up on a farm outside of a small town called Olds. We milked cows morning and night, and in between I went to school. By the time I was 10 years old, I was involved with the cows and the delivery of their offspring. By the time I was 12 years old, that was my primary responsibility. I looked after the cows who were close to giving birth. In that process, I think naturally I learned a lot about what normal labor and birth looks like and what problems appear like as well. I was 11 as my sister was coming soon, but at that time we didn't know that she was a girl. And as you can imagine, with two brothers, I was very keen to have a little sister. I remember the night she was born. It was about in the middle of the night, let's say 3 o'clock in the morning. What I remember next is that it was just before lunchtime, let's say 11 o'clock in the morning. My father comes back into the house of my grandparents, and I don't remember any excitement at that moment. He came up the stairs, and he sat at a table very similar to this one, and he put his head in his hands, and he said, "It didn't go so well." And I was old enough, I was 11, I'd been watching cows be born, I was aware that that was a really big problem. What had happened was that she'd suffered a very severe postpartum hemorrhage, very severe. I will never forget that, and I will never forget what it was like to be a family member in that situation. It was a demonstration to me how an underlying medical condition can so severely affect the health of a mother, and evidence that if you can get to the bottom of the mystery of what the problem is, you can make a real difference for a person's life. I came into medical school, I think, with a very open mind, saying, I don't know what kind of doctor I'm going to be. While dabbling in different fields of medicine was certainly interesting, nothing captured my imagination the same way that obstetrics and gynecology did. I was working in Ottawa for about 5 years, settled in, had absolutely no plans to move, and then got a phone call saying that Queen's had a position in maternal fetal medicine that they were looking to fill. At the end of the day, it came down to an environment where I could be well supported to do both my clinical work and my research work, but also to find more time to spend with my family doing what we love to do too. In fact, it was my youngest, Noah, that kind of had the deciding vote, I think, in whether we would move or not. She was quite young at the time still, but we asked her very seriously, "What do you think about moving?" And she has this way of kind of tilting her head, and she kind of looked at me with this curious look on her face, and she said, "Mama, if we move, will you be able to spend more time at home?" And the answer to that question seemed very clearly to be yes, this would improve my work-life balance. And so that was the final decision maker, and we made the move. When we made the move to having a staff position and working fully as a clinician scientist, that was a logical time where we again considered the option of getting a farm. We talked about it a lot over the years. It was a big step, and we started out quite small with a property that was not attached to our home. So my husband would commute to the farm and do chores, and I would head into the city to my job. I had the opportunity when I came back to Kingston to change that, and we did buy a farm. That's where we live now, and it's made all the world of difference in terms of family life and balance, and making both a career in medicine and a hobby in farming work out together. Currently, we have a flock of about 75 sheep. We have, at the moment, 5 cows on the property. There's 2 donkeys. There's a guardian dog. We have chickens for eggs. I think there's really no question that food you grow yourself tastes different than food that you get at the grocery store. So sometimes people will say, well, why not just go get a tomato at the grocery store? Why grow it yourself? If you haven't had a warm tomato off the vine, then maybe you don't realize what the difference is. I am part of the clinician scientist stream, and as part of that, my research time is protected. And in the type of research that I do, that's actually the most important part. It's making sure that I have the time to be able to conduct the research. One of the things that appeals the most to me about SEAMO and their role in research is this idea of finding and funding innovative research. I have two main research interests. My longer research interest has been on the effects of weight and pregnancy outcomes. Currently, one of our big research projects that we're conducting is studying the impacts of opioid and cannabis use on the form and function of the placenta. As an obstetrician, I'm part of the journey towards having a family. I often compare my shepherding role here to my shepherding role with my patients. I hope at the end of the day, the clinical work that I do and the research that I do will enable people to take better care of themselves and to look forward to the future more.